Russia versus Israel. The double standard in international sanctions, it is a highly complex and sensitive question. Why Russia has been hit with extensive sanctions by the global community, especially the United States, for its invasion of Ukraine, while similar measures are not taken against Israel. There are several reasons behind this, including geopolitical relations, international law, and the self-interest of different nations. Here are the key differences. 1. Nature of aggression and international law. Russia-Ukraine war. According to international law, an unprovoked attack on a sovereign nation is considered aggression. The occupation of Crimea in 2014 and the invasion of Ukraine in 2022 were direct military attacks by Russia on a sovereign state. According to the UN Charter, the use of military force against another country is illegal unless it is for self-defense or approved by the UN Security Council. Most countries and international organizations view this attack as a clear violation of international law. The U.S. has provided Israel with military, economic, and diplomatic aid for decades. This deep relationship prevents the U.S. from taking any international sanctions or actions against Israel. This means that if Russia feels a resolution is being brought against it, it can block it. This provides Israel with significant protection from international pressure. Recently, when a resolution was brought to the UN condemning Israel's attack on Iran, the U.S. stood with Israel. However, on the Ukraine issue, the U.S. and its allies have imposed sanctions outside the Security Council in a coordinated effort. Imposing sanctions on Russia has caused global energy prices to rise, which has had a major impact on the global economy. Despite this economic risk, Western countries decided to apply pressure on Russia. When any anti-Israel resolution is proposed in the UN Security Council, the U.S. often uses its veto power to block it. Imposing sanctions on Israel would have a limited impact and could also harm its allied nations' economies. Although criticism of Israel is growing due to the humanitarian crisis in Gaza, countries like the U.S. still emphasize Israel's right to self-defense. In contrast, Israel's actions are viewed by its allies as part of its self-defense, and it has strong political and diplomatic support, particularly from the United States, which makes taking sanctioning measures difficult. These countries have historical and political rivalries with Russia. The sanctions are seen as a strategy to weaken Russia's economy and reduce its military capability. The close relationship between the United States and European countries and Ukraine is a major reason behind the sanctions. Israel-Palestine conflict. The context of the Israel-Palestine conflict is long-standing and complex. Israel claims its military actions are taken in self-defense. According to them, attacks by armed groups like Hamas are direct aggressions against them, and responding is part of their right to self-defense. On the other hand, many countries and international organizations accuse Israel's military actions of violating international humanitarian law and the laws of war, especially due to the large number of civilian deaths and the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. However, there is a deep division within the international community over whether this is a war of aggression or a war of self-defense. 2. Geopolitical relations and alliances sanctions against Russia. In the Russia-Ukraine war, the United States, the European Union, and their allied nations have stood by Ukraine. Support for Israel. Israel is one of the United States' most important and strategic allies. 3. Role of the UN Security Council. Russia's veto power. Russia is a permanent member of the UN Security Council and holds veto power. U.S. veto power. In Israel's case, the U.S. uses its veto power to block most resolutions brought against Israel. 4. Economic impact. Russia's economy. Russia is one of the world's largest exporters of energy. Israel's economy. Israel's economy is deeply integrated with the economies of Western countries. 5. Influence of media and public opinion. Russia, international media, and Western governments have portrayed the Ukraine war as an illegal aggression against a sovereign country, which has created a clear narrative for most people worldwide. Israel. The Israel-Gaza conflict is often presented as a complex conflict or a two-sided war. In summary, the key reason for the differing international responses to Russia and Israel is that Russia's aggression is seen as a clear and unprovoked violation of international law.